everyone, and welcome back to the Crumbs podcast, where we pick up the pieces
of whatever's left behind.
Why are you laughing?
We're kind of stuck with that now.
To be fair, that is all my fault. I'm Zara, I'm back.
And I'm Nora, I'm also back.
I'm kind of sick today, actually.
Sick of all the family channels?
Oh, no, I'm actually sick.
Okay.
Like, legitimately. But yes, speaking of family channels, that's quite coincidental you bring that up, because that's what today's podcast is about.
Yeah, so what we're going to do today is pick up from where we left off.
From the last episode.
And we are going to delve a little bit deeper and explore family channels.
So last week we more so talked about channels that target children, like toy channels and stuff like that. But today we're going to be talking about family channels who also target children. But we're more so talking about personalities.
Yeah, so we are talking about the more family-oriented channels. And those channels that are supposedly family-friendly.
Is this podcast family-friendly?
I hope so.
So let's just get started. What's the first thing you want to talk about?
Okay, so the first thing I actually want to talk about is, I just want to get him out of my hair, is Jake Paul. So before we delve into the lies of Jake Paul, I want to point out that Nerd City actually made an excellent video on how Jake Paul uses advertising and manipulates children. Shane Dawson also mentioned in his 3 million part series that Jake Paul does this, but obviously Jake Paul denied it, and so that's not his intention. Even though he's actually blogged being invited to events and
conferences where he's on panels and stuff like that.
Yeah, where he discusses how and the tactics you can use to target children.
Essentially manipulate children to buy your stuff.
Yeah, so he actually educates, and you can't see my, rabbit fingers.
The quotation mark.
He educates people on how to basically make kids buy stuff. So everything is intentional, and he obviously has a very good grasp on influencer marketing or how to exploit children. He's even in several interviews said that most of his audience are from 8 to 16, was it?
Yeah.
So he knows his audience are children.
They're practically all minors. He knows that.
Yeah, and he's a master of marketing.
And manipulation.
And exploitation. Going back to, he knows that his audience are young kids. They're from 8 to 16 years old, which means his audience are basically all minors, okay, as the age of majority in most countries is usually 18 and over. Only in Australia it's 18.
Yeah, I think for the most part it is 18 and over.
Yeah.
And
in some countries it's 17, but even so, that's not within the age range.
No way. With that being said, that his audience are minors, he intentionally advertises to children. All his merch is intentionally for children. And the reason why, this isn't, by the way, some speculation that I just pulled out of thin air, oh, he targets children.
No, because it's undeniable, because Ben Hampton, who's 7 years old, is part of Team 10. So you can't say that that's not true. It's undeniable, it's there.
The proof is in the pudding. If you go to fanjoy.co/JakePaul, you will see merch that are in children's sizes. You will see school backpacks. If you are selling merch and the sizes, you can buy kids' sizes in merch, it means you are advertising to children because you're catering for them.
Yeah, so you can't deny it and say, look, my intention is not to sell stuff to kids. It is your intention. You're the mastermind behind selling stuff to kids.
His merch is kind of not artistic.
It's actually quite boring, I think.
Boring.
Yeah, it lacks a lot of artistic talent, like many of his videos.
Speaking of many of his videos, Nerd City mentions a really good point where he sort of calculated the average video. And in the average video, 50% of the video is advertising.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's 50% too many of percents. That made no sense.
So do you know what the actual percentage is? I think Nerd City mentioned that in his video. I can't remember. I think it's 20%. So he's doubled that threshold.
More than doubled.
His videos are basically ads. There's no theme. The content is ads. He's basically got nothing else to offer.
And just talking about kids and him advertising to kids, he's basically blurring the lines between entertainment and advertising. And he kind of acts like he's above the standards of advertising laws, which are basically there to ensure children have access to quality programs so they can protect them from harm. And by harm, I mean Jake Paul.
Yeah, I know. And look, I don't know about anywhere else in the world, but here in Australia, we have program classifications like P for preschoolers and C for children under the age of 14. And they're there to protect children. And some of these standards actually include like TV broadcasts can't show advertisements like during P classified programs. It's actually illegal to advertise to kids that are under the age of 4. And children are not allowed to be encouraged to do dangerous things. These are all things that Jake Paul does.
Not only dangerous things, but also illegal things. Like, I remember when they went to Italy, I think, and there was this guy saying, if you jump off this bridge, I'm going to call the police. And guess what they did? They went home and they didn't do it because they're good boys. No, they jumped off the bridge.
What he's doing is actually illegal, in Australia anyway. The thing is, I don't know how to navigate through this because he lives in America, yet his content is accessed worldwide.
Oh, that is scary because what jurisdiction would you use for something like that?
It is kind of tricky, but at the same time, I feel like under most jurisdictions, it's still illegal.
Would that be considered sort of like a cyber crime?
I'm not sure.
That's a good question to bring up because, like, how do you blur the lines between advertising just on TV and, like, something that happens in the internet world?
Yeah, like, I feel like even advertising on TV, the programs and ads are specifically made for children, where his videos are not actually age appropriate and are not made specifically to children. I think that's where the huge issue is. Like, even with the age group of 8 to 16-year-olds, you have kids that fall in different classifications. And I don't think his videos fall in the C range or the P. I don't even think it's in the PG range. I think most of his videos, and I'm being quite flexible here.
Yeah.
I think most of his videos fall in the M and MA 15 plus range. I don't know about, do you know anything about American classifications?
No,
Are they similar
but
to Australia?
I think they're very similar. And that's the thing, even him casting and like bleeping that out, I think that would consider it having an M classification, don't you think?
Yeah. You know, some of the videos could even be classified as R18 plus,
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah, like the clown videos where he went around and like pretending he was kidnapped. I think on television that would be considered as like a horror thing. Even though as adults we watch it and we're not scared, but like, you know, standards and regulations are there for a reason, and I think that would be considered like a horror movie. And
we kind of associate R18 plus with sexual content and really graphic themes.
Like
no, like R18 plus classification is actually any content that is offensive to the majority of adults.
So drugs, stuff like that?
Yeah, so misuse of drugs, illegal things.
Even like dangerous things, like scary like stunts and stuff like that.
Yeah, can be classified as R18 plus, but I don't know, there's this association of only sexual like content or porn being associated with R18 plus, but there's so much more to that classification.
So back to what we were saying, how his videos are basically ads. There's no theme. The content is the ad. Let's talk about how he lies about this. How he just blatantly lies about being aware that he's doing this. And this was really explored. I don't know if it was greatly explored, but it was explored and touched upon in the Shane Dawson documentary, which I know you have a lot of opinions about.
Yeah, I think it wasn't really explored. It was like touched very lightly.
Yeah.
I mean, Shane, what was the point of your series? That's what I want to know. Like, was it to expose him or make excuses for him? Which, in this case, apparently he's not a sociopath, which is actually worse because now he has no excuse for being...
Exactly, I didn't get the point of that.
Big person.
Yeah, by the end of the series, if I found out Jake Paul was actually a sociopath, I would feel bad for him. Like, oh, this is something like he can't control. Like, this is the way who he is. I just found out he's trash by the end of the series. Like, you know Jake Paul, does he have a mental illness? No, he doesn't. That's exactly who he is. Like, that's freaky.
That's even scarier. I would rather him be a sociopath. At least then there's an explanation. And I can sleep at night going,
poor kid, like,
poor kid, you know, he's suffering from this condition. But I went to sleep going, there are people who are absolute trash, and I feel like the series kind of excused his behavior.
It was kind of redundant, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I mean, I watched it all, every minute of it, only to get to the end and go, oh, like, what was the purpose of this series?
I feel like I didn't learn anything new from it. Maybe because I knew most of the stuff in it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really delve into sociopathy as a condition. It didn't really tell us anything about Jake Paul except confirmation that he's trash. Like, was it purely to entertain? I know, was there a disclaimer that this is purely to entertain?
Yeah.
But I mean, should someone who exploits children on a daily basis be allowed to collaborate with someone who's respectable like Shane Dawson for purely entertainment purposes?
And I think in the longer run, doing stuff like that will probably hurt Shane Dawson's credibility. Do you get what I mean?
I mean, I love Shane Dawson's videos, like his conspiracy theory
Yeah.
videos, and I've been watching him for a very long time, even when I was back at school. But I want to understand what the point of the series was, apart from views and having something to do.
I think in Shane Dawson's mind, who's the biggest person that has the most controversy around them? And he thought of Jake Paul. And in a way, it was sort of a collab if you think about it.
It was a collaboration.
It was a
They were
collaboration.
working together.
And this is gonna sound
series.
very weird, but I feel like by choosing to collab with Jake Paul, I feel like he feels sort of indebted to make Jake Paul look good in a way. Like, you're willing to open up and say all these things, and I'm gonna ask you all these questions. So in a way, I feel like I'm indebted to make you look good in a way. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm explaining that
I
properly.
was so disappointed. I was watching the series, and when Shane Dawson said, oh, Nerd City made this video talking about how you advertise to kids and, is this wrong? And I'm like, oh, great. Take the opportunity.
Yeah, this is what we're here for.
This is what we're here for, finally.
This is the accountability we want.
Yeah, and Jake was like, oh, it was never our intention to do that. And then they just left it there. Like, what's going on? They kind of just left the discussion when it got to the really important part. I was there for that part. And it was given 20 seconds?
I don't feel like he closed that chapter really well, because he was basically like, I don't think you understand the line, blah, blah, blah. Then explain the line to him.
Look, Jake Paul knows where the line is.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
He's jumped over it so many times. He knows exactly where the line is. That's why he crosses the line. He knows crossing the lines will get the views. Look, Shane didn't need to explain anything to him. He's the mastermind behind selling crap.
Yeah. Saying something is a problem to someone's face isn't enough if you're not going to take the steps towards fixing it.
Yeah, and look, this series isn't about criticizing Shane Dawson's series. It's his channel. He can do whatever he wants with it. I thought that was a huge opportunity missed. It was kind of disappointing, because I thought, this is Shane Dawson, this huge YouTuber, and he has this opportunity to delve into the more serious issues, and he has access to Jake Paul, and he can ask him all these tough questions. It fell short, I think. Yeah, and look, I have nothing against Shane Dawson. I still watch his videos.
And just someone who is a creator on the platform, I never thought I'd say that unironically, that sentence, but someone, I kind of see this going in a really bad direction if Jake Paul keeps doing what he's doing, because there's going to be a news organization who's going to come after Jake Paul and say, this guy is exploiting children, YouTube is going to crack under media pressure, and in return, there's going to be just terrible ramifications, and I feel like there's going to be, I don't know what's going to happen.
Because
maybe sponsorships won't be allowed anymore. Like, I know that's a very drastic way to think. When you have someone who exploits advertising, I know a media organization is going to come across it one day, and it's not going to be good for the rest of us.
And it's not just exploitation. He's breaking the law, because he crosses the percentage threshold for advertising. So not only is he advertising to an age group he isn't allowed to advertise to, but also with a ridiculous amount of frequency. It's ridiculous. It's come to a point where it's just so unbelievable.
To play devil's advocate,
and the content around advertising is so inappropriate.
yeah.
There's stuff that happens before, which is 10% of his videos.
Like the scary clowns, the sexual content.
Yeah, and I watched a video by Smokey Glow, and she talks about how even in the way in which women's bodies are portrayed, I also think the manner in which relationships are represented
Yes.
is also unhealthy. Like I can
Yes,
imagine,
very unhealthy.
can you imagine a 12-year-old girl or boy watching Jake Paul's video and thinking, oh, this is how a girlfriend should be? Or a 10-year-old thinking, if I have a girlfriend, this is the way in which I have to act with her or make out with her.
I never thought about that.
Whatever. So, yeah, I think the manner in which relationships, especially like Jerica,
I have a conspiracy on that, which we'll get to.
Unhealthy. What is your conspiracy theory?
But first of all, just touching on what you're saying, yeah, I do think that sends a bad message to children, because when you think about it, Erica to Jake Paul on his channel is just a tool, a sexual tool for the thumbnail.
Look, that's not a problem. That's not an issue.
Yeah, she can do whatever she wants.
But it's not kids' content. You can do whatever you want. You have the freedom to do what you want. However, are your audience adults or are they children?
Back to my conspiracy theory on Jerica. It is completely fake. First of all, this is a conspiracy theory.
I think it's fake because I truly believe that no woman would want to be with Jake Paul. That's my justification. Move on.
No, listen, I don't understand how people were so convinced that Jerica was real. Like, oh, they held hands in the Shane Dawson docuseries. Like, anyone can do that. Yeah, like, it's so easy. Honestly, it's so easy to just put on a show for the camera. It's really not that deep. And Jake Paul has admitted to it being fake. He compared it to WWE, where everyone knows it's fake, but it's just entertainment. I'm convinced that it's fake. Like, the whole thing is just fake. And you know how I know it's fake? Because it's been leaked multiple times that he was talking to Instagram models, and I guess there was one Instagram model too many, and so he got on camera and he's like, well, the reason why I DM'd this Instagram model is because Erica and I broke up. It's like, no. It's like, it's because you guys are not actually in a relationship, and you're going around DMing like Instagram models, and so you just need to find an excuse to justify what you're doing. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes. And even with the Alyssa Violet situation, it kind of makes me think,
At most, the realistic would be is like an open relationship, I would say. That's the closest to real I would put it.
Yes.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. Open on whose end though? Just Jake Paul?
With Alyssa Violet, it was just Jake Paul.
Don't have double standards. If
Yeah.
it's going to be open, it's got to be open from both sides.
Someone please take that out of context, please.
No, that sounded really bad. Let me rephrase that.
No, we're leaving it. We're leaving it. And speaking of, back to advertising and Jake Paul, this is a lot about Jake Paul, like, oh my god. But let's talk about his music videos. Buy that merch. Buy that merch. I hate how catchy it is.
I know, and it's so catchy. That's the annoying bit.
Go tell your mama she gotta buy it all.
I know. Hey, and what about that video where he's like, go get your parents, and he's like pestering the kids to
That's
annoy
illegal.
their parents.
I learned from Nerd City's video that's illegal. I don't know the exact terminology, but like pestering tactics where you basically force kids to pester their parents is actually illegal. He literally tells kids to tell their parents to buy that merch.
That's just ridiculous. Like, I would like to understand why Jake Paul is above the law. Why does everyone else have to answer to the law? Even huge corporations who want to advertise on TV. Yet Jake Paul is above the law all the time.
It's those beautiful golden locks. Speaking of beautiful golden locks that happen to be receding, let's talk about Logan Paul.
Oh, do we have to? I can't.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment. That gets me every time.
Apparently he said on his podcast that I discovered he had last week, so I did a bit of research.
Yeah, how dare he start a podcast before us? That's offensive.
That's offensive to humanity.
Calm down there. You seem a bit angry. What did he say on his podcast?
That he's trying to get like rid of kids on his channel. Like, what is your true intention behind this, Logan? Tell us.
I think it's because he's fallen out of YouTube's good grace. Like, he's fallen out of their good books. And he's basically trying to be, like, you know, the saint on the side. Like, oh, I know that I'm, like, kind of terrible, so I want to get rid of all these kids. Yeah. However, in contrast, guess who he has had on the show?
This is so unbelievable and it's hilarious. Like, you're trying to get rid of kids, yet you have, drumroll,
Jojo Siwa.
Who is?
Literally a 14-year-old toddler. Like, there is no other way to put her. Like, she's JoJo with the Bobo. Like, she makes music videos about making your dreams come true. And if you're an adult, you know dreams never come true. So, to prove that is like kids, like, as childish as it can get. She is a mini Jake Paul.
Is she? Does she have controversial content as well?
No, but she did get into a controversy that lots of people seem to forget about. She basically made a prank video that her dad died. This was ages ago. Like, no one talks about this, like, ever. So Google it. But I think that, like, now she has, like, more coverage, like, more media, like, surrounding her to the point where, like, she has, like, a PR team, I'm pretty sure now.
You know, that's what Logan Paul needs. A intelligent
we're not
PR
done.
team.
We're not done. The next guest, Life with Mac. She's like, I don't know, 12, 11. I have no idea how old she is. She does ASMR. And she's a little child like, hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to ASMR.
That's not how children speak. That's just creepy.
That's me being creepy. But I'm just telling people that's what ASMR is. And then here's the kicker. He had Jacob Sartorius on the show. 12-year-old Justin Bieber. Like, you can wear my sweatshirt. Like... Are you serious? How can you say something is for kids and then you put Jacob Sartorius on your podcast?
Like, Logan Paul, what's going on? Do you need a definition of what a child is? You seem to be confused.
With that being said, although we do criticize him a lot, I don't know about you, but if Jake Paul or Logan Paul want to hire me as their PR team, I would love to do that.
I think that would be a great move because seriously, Jake and Logan, you need to hire people who know something about the world.
I
feel like they need to hire people who will not just go with the flow. People
or maybe
who question things. I mean, that's the purpose of a PR team, right?
Conversely, maybe they have hired them, but they just don't listen to their PR team.
Then what's the point? I think there's a confusion. I'm confused because Logan Paul, I think he said that his friends are his employees and
he also said that after the incident, he didn't really lose anyone, which isn't a bad thing. Like, I feel like if you have a team, they should stick by you no matter what because they're there to help you. It's kind of weird how the whole entire team's mentality at that point, because he explained this where they were like, okay, what can we do to fix this situation? As opposed to kind of giving him even like a slap on the wrist like he should have gotten. Like, do you get what I mean? That's kind of confusing though.
That brings up another question. People who are willing to work with them, are they just as messed up? Because you are agreeing to that, the culture of his channel.
That's the thing.
Like, to work somewhere, usually when you want to work somewhere, your values need to kind of be aligned with that place.
Yeah.
Like, even in everyday jobs, if your values don't align with a particular environment, you're going to suffer in that environment. So the people who do work with him, do they willingly agree with him?
The problem is the line between being a yes man and being someone who supports you. The line can get very blurred and there's a very grey area. Do you get what I mean?
Because I don't think there is a grey area.
I think there is.
I think the purpose of a PR team is to say, hey, you can't do that. It will mess you up. It's wrong. And if you're not allowing that to happen, you're not allowing people to do their jobs.
Okay, what if you mess up? I'm talking about stuff like, what if you mess up like after the fact? Would you want a team that sticks by you no matter what? That's where it gets kind of confusing, because if you want to hire a PR team, you would hire people that would stick by you through any controversy because they're there to help you through it.
Well,
do you get what I'm saying?
They'll stick by him because they kind of let it happen too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm getting confused. I'm confusing myself. I don't know what I'm saying.
With every business, there should be an evaluation and feedback process. Their channel does not seem to have that. They keep making mistakes.
But are they really mistakes?
Yes, exactly. So how can you possibly repeat the same mistake?
Especially as a business.
And then you apologize and go, this is a mistake, and then do it again and do it again. It really makes me think, is it really a mistake?
It's not a mistake because they keep on doing it because it's bringing them money.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with business or making money. That's not the issue. It's who you make it of and how. And the way in which they're making their money is so destructive to the fabric of society, to the point where I feel like if this is allowed to continue, it's going to have irreversible damage.
And you know how I know that this has irreversible damage? Because there was a guy who went into the suicide forest. I don't know how to pronounce the actual name of the forest because I just don't want to be disrespectful. But he went into the suicide forest saying, I want to be like Logan Paul and I want to find a dead body. And I think he did. And I think he recorded it as well. So it does have a negative impact.
With that incident, I could sit here.
It's
and
honestly
think about
so
it.
distressing. It distresses me.
When it happened, like, I remember you called me up and like, can you believe what happened? I'm like, yeah, I watched it. It was so sad.
I still have the imagery in my head. It was really disturbing. And I still have the image in my head that's so messed up.
And we're adults. Like, I'm an adult.
I'm an adult as well.
Did you turn 18 already?
Yeah.
When?
This year.
Oh,
I'm barely an adult.
congratulations. See, I didn't even know that.
Okay. You still thought I was 12 all this time.
Yes, I don't know why.
Okay.
It's the way you act.
Oh, gee, thanks. But yeah.
So can you imagine, like, it takes away from dignity of that person and humanity, and thousands upon thousands of children saw that and thought, oh, that's okay.
And he got bigger.
Did not see that person as a person. I can't even go there. It was so distressing and upsetting because the damage you have caused is irreversible. You cannot unsee that.
You can't. There's no way to fix that situation, no matter.
And I feel like if we don't step in, if the law does not step in, this will continue to happen.
And it is continuing to happen because I told you that guy saw Logan Paul. He didn't lose anything. He only got bigger because of it. So he went to the forest doing the exact same thing. And that's setting such a bad example. There's nothing wrong with business. There's nothing wrong with making money. That's not the issue. I think you can agree. Like, we don't care. But it's who you make the money off and how you do it is what makes it wrong and immoral.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking. It really is. There's no other way to put it.
Which ties into the next heartbreaking channel. And we're going in a downward spiral of negativity.
Yeah, but by the end of this, we'll need like antidepressants.
Speaking of antidepressants, Nicole Arbour thinks antidepressants make you happy, which that's not what antidepressants do. Anyways, I just wanted to throw shade at Nicole Arbour because she pisses me off.
Your lack of information
about mental health. Anyways,
and neurology.
I know. But we're going to be talking about... Sorry, I just had to throw shade at her somewhere. We have to talk about... cough, cough. Dramatic pause. Daddy05. Where do we even start? Let's describe what the channel is. Basically, Daddy05 was a family vlogging channel, like one big happy family. It was a vlogging channel. It was basically directed by the father. His name was Mike Martin. And, you know, from the outside, you're like, oh, this is like a family channel. Like, how amazing. However,
Philip DeFranco kind of exposed them. Well, not exposed them. He kind of just said... He kind of pointed out what they're doing.
He just said, look at this.
Yeah, and it was so blatant and out there.
Yeah.
That you really didn't need much else.
And Philip DeFranco obviously has this big platform, and he was sort of the catalyst to sort of make the story mainstream and for like the media to pick it up. Like, people were talking about it, but I would say like Philip DeFranco was... Like I said, the catalyst.
Yeah, and before we delve into this, let's remind everyone that this is just one of the channels. I'm sure there are others out there.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
I'm pretty sure there's... Okay, but this is just one of them. And his father was abusing his kids on camera. Like, okay. I'm not saying that you should do this off camera, but it was... I don't even know, like, where do we start?
Okay, back to what you're saying about how this is just one of many channels. And like I said, because there are so many channels, it's impossible to review all of them. So let's not act like Daddy05 might be an isolated situation or incident. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's just assume this is one of many, which is sort of sad. That's a sad assumption.
And the content was so disturbing.
Should we go into, if you're triggered easily by this sort of stuff or abuse, I would suggest clicking off. We're basically going to describe
unfortunately what their content is.
When that got me, to be honest, I cried watching most of these.
So did I.
Well, how can you not? It was abuse.
It was, I wanted to reach out and take like the kids away from him and just hug them.
Exactly. The first one that I watched, which I cried, like I bawled my eyes out, it was the ink prank one. And basically they had this blue ink, but it's like invisible ink, so if you put it on something and you rub it, it just disappears. And basically the mum was like, hee hee, we're gonna prank our son Cody. So they go to his room and they put the ink all over the floor and they call Cody in and they're just yelling at him.
And Cody begins to cry. It's so distressing. Oh, You know, the worst one was when they told him that he's going to be put up for adoption.
Imagine your own parent is saying that.
And he was crying. He was clearly distressed. Who goes out of the way to purposefully distress their own child?
And what makes it even messed up is when you find out that he's coming from like a step sort of family. Like, do you get what I mean? What's that word?
So he obviously would struggle with feelings of belonging.
Exactly.
At such a young age, having been taken away from his mother and
being put with this family, like, do you get what I mean?
Who then abuse him and don't treat him. I mean, they treat all the kids badly, but Cody, that was messed up.
Mike Martin was essentially the school bully that happened to be his dad.
Yes, can you imagine having your bully at home?
And
I hope no one can imagine that, or no one has ever dealt with that.
I know.
Or knows how that feels. That's just terrible.
Not only that, like, the dad was telling his brother, like, don't hit women, but you can hit your sister. Like, he literally told his son to hit his daughter. Who does that?
They'd force him to apologize for mistakes that he hasn't actually made.
Exactly, like, slap your sister, but if she starts crying, it's your fault. Why did you do that? And apologize. It's such a messed up situation. Like
he asked to slap your sister, and then when he does slap her, not like that.
What do you
slap
mean?
Her lightly. It's a slap. It doesn't matter. You're telling your kids to be violent with each other? What is wrong with you?
When has violence ever been acceptable? Anyways. And what gets me is that there's hours of footage in this. This is like the main ones that sort of stood out. And a lot of it is deleted, so we may not ever know what some of it was.
Yeah.
We will never know the truth.
I mean, the father's not really smart. They were battling like custody issues. If I was battling a custody issue, I would not post anything online. Period. Like, I would not post no pictures, no videos. I would be off social media completely because it's such a sensitive issue.
Yeah.
You really don't want those external influences or forces at play.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So you're going through this custody issue and you're posting your kids online every day.
They clearly do not have the child's best interest at heart. And do you know how I know this? What exemplifies this the most? I think it was the mother who was saying, oh, there's something wrong with Cody. Like, Cody's school keeps saying he has behavioural problems, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, I wonder why. Maybe it's because he's being abused at home. Like, honestly.
Yeah, they're not the brightest of parents.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go, like, I don't want to criticize parents, but, like, if you're an abusive parent, like, especially, like, Mike Martin, like, he seems like he's missing a couple brain cells.
Yeah, especially with their Logan Paul-esque apology.
Yeah.
The apology was hilarious. It was hilarious because it was so stupid.
I'm not gonna let you get the chance. Sorry, that's a meme.
It was so stupid. I was like, how dumb do you have to be to make an apology like that? First of all, you don't need to apologize. You need to go to prison. And second of all, how could you possibly... They blamed Philip DeFranco.
Yeah.
Like,
you put it on your channel!
He's like, this is all Philip DeFranco's fault. Really, Philip DeFranco made you abuse your kids?
Yeah. You put it online. Like, how does that make any sense? You were the person who put it online. Like,
he basically just brought attention to your videos. Like, it would have happened either way.
It's like, we're sorry that you got offended. What? Apologize to your kids. An apology isn't going to
They don't understand what the issue is.
Yeah.
They don't actually understand what the problem is. You know, they apologize to the audience for offending them.
Which proves that they're not
the
fit
audience,
to be parents.
The audience don't matter. Your kids do. Okay, your kids matter. You need to be apologizing to your kids.
I tell you what's
need to make
messed up.
amends with your kids, not the audience.
So what's messed up that there are probably children in the audience who are watching.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? And that's also setting a bad example. But I think in Mike Martin's perspective, yes, I feel like in a situation like that, the audience shouldn't matter. Like, your kids should matter first.
Yeah, the audience don't matter in this
But,
situation.
like, not only is it a terrible situation internally, but this is being publicized to thousands of people.
Dario 5 is classified as a family-friendly channel. So kids are watching this. This is so terrible to think about, but can you imagine another kid who might also be abused at home watching this and thinking this abuse is normal and not speaking up?
That's so sad. To think sort of positively, the fact that this was brought up and the channel was taken down and stuff, maybe you might have helped a child.
Yeah.
To let them know, lots of people are very outraged about this. But, like, kids don't watch commentary videos, do you get what I mean? And we barely even touched on those on the other side of the screen watching. Like, do you get what I mean?
I personally don't like seeing kids on YouTube. I don't even,
Me too. I feel like kids shouldn't even be on the internet. Do you get what I mean?
It's not monitored. Like even with child labour laws, there's certain hours that children are allowed to work and a certain way to treat them. But if it's within your home, it's not monitored and you're outside of the realm of regulation.
Yeah, I know do you know who Onision is?
Yes, of course.
A lot of people hate him and stuff, and trust me, I'm not like his stan or whatever, so leave me alone. But the one thing that I will respect if I were to give him something is that he doesn't put his children online. He's just an example because he's like the only person I can really think of at the moment where he purposely doesn't put his kids online because he knows there's so much controversy surrounding him and he doesn't want to put his children in that world because they can't consent to it either. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, and abuse put aside, like, you don't know who's on the other side of the screen. Philip DeFranco spoke about this. There was this channel about, like, little girls wanting to be ballerinas and all the comments were so messed up and pedophilic. I mean, it's just so messed up. I would feel so uncomfortable putting my child up there. And they have no choice.
Exactly. Yeah, they can't consent to it.
When you're 7, you can't kind of say, hey, Mom, I don't want to be online. You don't even know what's going on.
Exactly. You don't know the gravity or the magnitude of the situation. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, so for me personally, I know a lot of people would disagree. For me personally, I would rather have kids stay offline.
Yeah,
that way.
We're going to go back to the ramifications of Daddy 05, but just to tie into what you're saying, I think they've done this research where the number one thing that kids wanted to be in the future is a YouTuber. Like, they told them, like, what's your dream job? And lots of kids said YouTuber.
Yeah, a lot of kids, yeah.
What do you think about that? I think it's because they see it as something so accessible, like, do you get what I mean? And that's what they watch a lot, so that's what they want to do.
YouTubers sell this lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, they sell this lifestyle that's just amazing. You get to drive Lamborghinis and it's attractive.
It is attractive to be a YouTuber. It's
very, very attractive. I honestly don't blame them.
So let's talk about the ramifications of the whole Daddy 05 situation. His kids, well, 2 of the kids, I think, they were taken away. And I think they're living with their mother. So Cody was Mike Martin's son, but I don't think the mother in that household was his biological mother. So those 2 kids were taken away. I think it was him and the daughter. I'm not sure.
The younger kids. I think the younger kids were taken away.
Yeah. And the 3 sons, I could not find this anywhere, but I'm 100% this happened. They started their own channel and they were like talking about, oh, we're so happy, blah, blah, blah. Like, do you get what I mean? Which is messed up. Like, after a situation like that, like, the internet should not even be on your mind.
Yeah, I mean, they're kids. They don't, in a way, you cannot take the power away from them. Yeah. If they want to have another YouTube, if they want to have YouTube on their own, like if Cody one day decides, I want to have YouTube, I don't think what happened in the past should stop him.
Yeah, of course.
Because who knows, he could create something amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't think that power should be taken away from them, but so soon.
Like, and remember their kids. How do you not know that Mike Martin is behind that camera? Like, do you get what I mean?
I can't stand any abuse to do with kids. Who are you to think that you are able to control something so valuable and vulnerable and innocent? It's like hurting little puppies and kittens. That's so wrong. Like, if there was a video up there of someone hitting a kitten or a dog, people would be upset. But it's surprising that so many people watch this, and it's only when Philip DeFranco went, hey, look what's happening, just open your eyes and see.
Obviously, custody battles and having your children taken away from you is really distressing, and it's a hard situation. But when you're abusing them, you have to get them out of that situation. Like, and because of everything that's been going on and stuff, I think they need, like, therapy, like the kids. Like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a divorce could, like, hurt a child. Like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
It is a lot to take in.
But there's a silver lining.
What is the silver lining?
Good news, everyone.
Good news, everyone.
Where's that from?
Zoidberg!
Yeah.
No, that's not Zoidberg. It's the professor.
YouTube has kind of gone on a cleanse.
A juice cleanse? What type of cleanse?
Where it's deleted certain channels.
Yeah. Some of it is
A
bad,
number of
which we'll
channels.
get into. But stuff like, they did delete a lot of stuff that was targeted towards kids. They did delete those things, and I think that's good. They also deleted, YouTube was responsible for deleting the Daddy05 channel. Like, oh, thank you, YouTube, for doing something right. Like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah, which brings us back to the reactive versus proactive thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like
I
I
mean,
said.
in a sense, let's be fair, you can't stop something that hasn't happened yet.
But it was
You get me?
uploaded.
Like, yes, that's the thing.
It was uploaded
It was a very
ages
slow
ago.
reaction.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I think them deleting all those channels that YouTube deemed problematic was their way of being proactive. However, the negative ramifications of this is sometimes you may be deleting the wrong channels. I don't know the extent of all the channels. I know lots of channels got deleted, but there was this channel called Monkey Jones, and he basically talked about Elliot Rodger. Do you know who Elliot Rodger is?
No.
He was basically a YouTuber turned, like, murderer. So it's a very interesting dynamic, and you can see why people would be interested in something like that. Because he happened to be this murderer who also happened to have a YouTube channel. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So basically this channel, Monkey Jones, he's like the biggest YouTuber I can think of that got deleted that I actually knew of. He basically like went through his diary entries and he would break it down. And if anything, he was like making fun of Elliot Rodger. Like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And his channel got deleted.
The interesting thing is they seem to demonetize and delete content that's more so for adults.
Yeah, which is odd.
And I know someone commented in our last podcast, like, you know, they put so much focus on the adult content,
Yeah.
and they kind of forget about, you know, people like Jake Paul and Logan Paul. I know everyone should be targeted. If you've got wrong content, then it's wrong.
Yeah.
But why is your focus on content which is accessed by adults? Shouldn't your focus be more so on the content that's supposedly for kids?
Yeah, I don't know why the Wall Street Journal is so set on attacking PewDiePie for being racist or whatnot, as opposed to looking at people like Jake Paul. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, that's...
Like, I don't get... Like, I honestly don't
They
get
get so
that.
hung up on...
The wrong issues.
If an adult watched messed up content, they're able to say, this is really messed up, I'm going to click off.
Yeah.
Or, what did I just watch? Kids can't do that. Adults are able to filter through that content, whereas kids can't.
Yeah.
They don't have that filter.
The Logan Paul incident, don't get me wrong, it's terrible. But if Logan Paul had a majority of an adult audience, it would be a bit different. Do you get what I mean? It's still terrible.
It wouldn't have the same damage.
Exactly.
Because
obviously, I'm not saying it's
really
not terrible.
messed up.
I'm not saying it's not messed up and it's not just as terrible, blah, blah, blah. But I'm saying it's different when kids are the target audience.
Very, very different.
Lots of people have mentioned this, but YouTube's terms are so broad where sometimes it can be beneficial because when someone like Daddy05 pops up, that channel can be taken down. But then, because it's so broad, it kind of scares creators, like, what am I allowed to say? What am I allowed to do? Will my channel be deleted if I do something, like, slightly wrong? Because the rules are so broad.
And they're also selective because, I mean, they're selective on who it applies to.
Yeah.
The best that we can do is if we come across a questionable video, but that's the thing, adults don't spend their day watching kids' videos.
Exactly,
or family channels,
exactly.
So they can't really flag them unless you're a parent who's out there, you know, trying to bring all these channels down. Me, one of them. You can't really do that.
So let's move on to some other family channels. Are we done talking about Daddy05?
Oh, you know, just speaking about flagging, I'm curious, like, if Jake Paul's videos were reported, like if you log on to YouTube and watch a Logan Paul video or a Jake Paul video and flag it or report it as inappropriate, what would happen?
Nothing. What will happen?
Would he get a strike or would it be taken down? Whereas I'm sure if I reported someone else, like a smaller YouTuber who probably had much less advertising and much less disturbing content, action would be taken.
To prove what you're saying to be correct, Logan Paul didn't get a strike.
Like, if you're not going to get a strike, then when will you get a strike?
I know, like, if you're not going to get a strike for him doing something like that, when will he ever get a strike? I just repeated what you said exactly word for word. But yeah, moving on to other family channels. This isn't like abuse, but I think it's still bad. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
That's so sad that we've literally witnessed abuse on YouTube. So when we see other stuff, like what we're going to go into, we're like, oh, it's not that bad. It's still bad, but we're like, oh, at least it's not abusive.
Because we're so desensitized.
Yeah, that's messed up.
By, you know, all these horrible images and these videos, that when we see something that's also wrong, but maybe less offensive, it's like, well, at least they didn't do this.
Yeah. Yeah, Nora, Logan Paul blurred the body. What are you on about?
Good move, Logan Paul. Thank
you. He blurred the face. Respect. Yeah, we shouldn't criticize him. He blurred the face. What more do you want, honestly? So let's talk about the Ace family. Do you know who the Ace family is?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm so condescending.
Stop being so condescending.
So basically, the Ace family is this one big small family, and they basically vlog. They're a family vlogging channel, which good on them. And I'm gonna be honest, I do follow a lot of pages on my Finsta about the Ace family, and they do have a lot of, let's just say, haters. I just want to say that I wanted to speak on this because it's been on my mind lately. There's a lot of criticism that surround the Ace family, which I think are so unwarranted. Like, I've read this forum and they were talking about like, oh, Catherine doesn't even wash a dish or clean the house. She's not gonna vlog herself washing the dishes and cleaning the house. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of the criticism is so stupid, and they're like, oh, Elle isn't up to like scratch. Like at her age, she should be doing this, this, and this. Like kids develop differently at different ages. I think that sort of criticism is wrong because I see a lot of people where, trust me, the Ace family has their problems. Your argument is already good enough. You don't need to bring in these other things that make no sense. Like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah, it's not your place.
Exactly.
It's not your place to be making those arguments.
Which is why I feel like family channels shouldn't be on the internet in the first place. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
You should raise your family. You should focus on raising your family. Like, you shouldn't focus on raising your family in front of thousands of and millions of people.
I mean, it's a personal choice. You want the world to see your family, yeah, but it's so hard to keep your family in order and functioning. I feel like it takes a lot of effort. Adding the internet is just, I don't know, it makes it even harder.
What about this? Conversely, to play devil's advocate, some people may argue that they're deciding to put their family on the internet, so if they get criticized, they're asking for it. Not they're asking for it, but like,
what kind of criticism? So what kind of criticism are we talking about though?
Like what I said, like, oh, Elle isn't developed, or
no, it's not your place. It's not your place to make these comments. It's their child.
You have the right to say it, but it doesn't mean it's in your place to say it, and we should listen to you. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I think if you're a decent human being, you'd know that.
Okay. So now the problem with the Ace family, I just wanted to point that out because I've read a lot of like pages. They call themselves exposed pages, but sometimes they're just hate pages, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I've come across a lot of it, and sometimes that's a criticism, and I find it so ridiculous. Anyways, or sometimes they'll use clips of Austin like re-saying the same line. Like he would re-say the same line, do you get what I'm saying? Like, oh, today we're going shopping, oops, let me do it again. And he might have accidentally edited in the vlog. And people are like, oh my god, see, they're so fake. It's like, no, that's just being a YouTuber.
Yeah, that's
do you get what I mean?
Vlogging is.
That's what vlogging is. It happens. People are ridiculous. But something that actually is messed up, I had to defend them because I feel like some people don't defend them enough. Anyways, their house was robbed. Which some people are even questioning if their house was actually robbed, but apparently their house was robbed, okay?
They used it as
clickbait.
If my house was robbed, I would literally run to my mother's house without looking back. I'd be so terrified.
You wouldn't call the police?
Once I get to my mother's house, yes. I wouldn't pose for a picture and use it as clickbait. Can you imagine walking to your house? I just got robbed. Let me take a photo. This would be such good clickbait.
This is going to sound so messed up, but sometimes as a YouTuber, you think that way. When something terrible happens, you're like, wow, this will be great clickbait. However,
let me rephrase that.
However,
sometimes as a terrible YouTuber, you think that way.
I got roasted. However, this is where the however comes in. When you have a child, it's completely different. If you got robbed as an adult and you wanted to vlog it, that's that YouTube life.
For it, yeah.
That's that YouTube life, you know, like get that AdSense. Like, I don't know if I would do the same, but like, when you have a kid, it's a different situation. Austin was literally going into the house with his daughter and he's like, oh, baby, what did they steal from you? She's literally 3. What are you saying?
She's 3?
I don't know if she's 3. I think she's 3, she's 2, I don't know. But she's around that age and he's like, oh, did they steal from you? Like, what the hell are you doing?
How terrifying.
Especially as a kid, like how can you take your kid through that? like, when kids are really little, like, as an adult, getting robbed is scary. Like, would you say is it traumatic to get robbed as an adult?
It's
Some people
scary,
may be
but
traumatized. You just say you got robbed and you walked into your house and all the valuables were taken. You would feel scared, you know.
Yeah.
However,
You'd feel upset and scared at that moment, but you'd kind of go, oh, you know the reality of the world. Like,
Yeah,
people want to take something of value.
however, when you're a child and you walk into a house and people took stuff from it, like, your house, as a kid, you're raised to know that your house is the safest place in the world, basically.
Yeah, and
You'd be
I'd never
traumatized.
be able to go back to that house because I think anyone could walk in at any second.
Especially as a child. But what's more messed up, like I said, what's more messed up is amongst all of this, there was broken glass everywhere. And they post for the thumbnail.
Like, would you not want to shield your kid from that?
Exactly. In that situation, if I came across that, I would put my child somewhere else in, like, a safe situation, like with a family
That's the
member or
thing.
something, and then handle the situation.
They don't have their children's best interest. If you're taking a photo with your child of your house being robbed,
What does
there's
that
a
teach?
problem.
What does that teach the child as well?
God knows how many photos they took. You take several.
Yeah,
before
I
you
didn't
get the
think about
right
that.
one.
What message does that send to Elle? Like, we just got robbed. These people just walked into my house. Oh, let's post for this photo. Like, what? And Catherine was sort of explaining how it wasn't intended to go on the internet. Like, she was just filming because it was something, like, traumatic or whatnot. And it just happened to be in the spur of the moment that they were in that position.
Yeah.
I think she said that, or they actually posed for the thumbnail. Either way, it's messed up. What's even more messed up as a family channel, some family channels where they show their kids, I actually like, I think this girl, her name is like Raven Elise or whatever. I really like watching her videos. And she films, like, with her daughter. They're basically vlogs.
Oh, I think I watched that too.
I really like her. We were watching a lot of the potty training videos to give us ideas.
Toilet training. Yeah, she had a really good toilet training video.
Yeah, I think the reason why that's different is when you watch her vlogs, you can tell that she's living her life and she happens to be vlogging.
Yes.
She isn't vlogging. Like, when you watch the Ace family, it's not obvious that they do things for the vlog.
Yeah, that's a difference.
But with her, she's living her life, she's doing what she would regularly do, like, she drops her kid off, she cleans, she edits, like, and she just happens to be vlogging it at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? It's not, with the Ace family, the problem comes with, it's unrealistic. Like, that's the word, unrealistic. When I watch Raven Elise, I'm like, yeah, that's a normal life. Like, this is literally a normal person's life that I'm watching. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I watch the Ace family, it's so fake. It's fake.
My problem with it is when I'm trying to find the right word, when you're exploiting your children for clickbait, that's a huge issue for me.
Kids are not an accessory.
Yeah, which reminds me of, do you know about, like, the Susu family channel?
No. What about them?
Philip DeFranco talked about this channel with questionable content where the mother actually posts videos of herself in, like, sexually suggestive positions, which are actually out of context of her supposed family-friendly channel. She basically uses her children to avoid YouTube's rules around, like, sexually explicit content and nudity.
What's messed up is that this has happened before. There was this channel, her name was like Tasha Mama or the spiritual Tasha Mama, like, I don't know. But basically, YouTube allows, like, nudity in quotation marks, if it's educational. So if you like breastfeeding, you're allowed to do that. So
That's what she does.
Yeah,
Like,
so she would
educational video on breastfeeding, but nowhere in the video did she actually educate us on how to breastfeed.
I just remembered something. Okay, let me just explain this first. So the Tasha Mom or whatever, she would breastfeed her children because it falls under educational, and then she'll promote her, basically her porn site, let's be honest. And then she admitted that she would have intercourse while her child was breastfeeding.
That's illegal.
That is illegal. And she said it online.
Just because you gave birth to a child does not give you the right to do whatever you want with them.
Yeah, and she admitted to that. And, like, it was so weird because she was like, oh, I want to open this foundation for women so they can give birth, like, in the ocean or something. I don't know. She was just ridiculous. Like, she would be breastfeeding her child and then she's like, oh, like, watch my porn site. Because it was a mess. It's just a big
Susu
mess.
family thing is really messed up too. Can you imagine making videos that are sexually explicit with your kids in the video?
Imagine when the kid grows up
That's so horrific. Who are these people who are watching these videos? Who are you?
Yeah, who are these people watching these
Not
videos?
listening to this podcast, obviously.
Oh, true.
That's just creepy.
I think the Nerd City
Were you
said
raised
this.
by wolves?
I think wolves have more morals than some people on the platform. Let's be
and
honest.
more love towards their young.
Yeah, I know. I think Nerd City mentioned this, but like when the kids get older, what an easy way to bully them. That's why I feel bad for the most. That's the word. It's the kids.
And the thing is, like, once it's up there, it's up there. Like,
Yeah. The internet, once something is on the internet, it's there forever.
even after YouTube decide to delete it, like, it's still up there.
Yeah, so basically...
Someone's re-uploaded them, or imagine it's her re-uploading them.
Oh my gosh. Back to what you were saying, a lot of this stuff I would consider illegal because, like, child labor laws and stuff like that. And it blows the lines between them just living their life and exploiting their kids. But because it's an international issue, it's so tricky to kind of regulate something like that.
It shouldn't be tricky. Like, you protect the child.
I'm pretty sure it's in the CROC, the Convention of the Rights of a Child, and that's like an international thing.
I don't understand why it's tricky. You only need to be human to click on a video, see that it's inappropriate and go, okay, this needs to go.
Okay, so just to basically wrap up, we've done a lot of complaining. What can we do about this? What can we do?
There's nothing really that we can do. Just, flagging videos and reporting them.
If you see something, say something.
I think I'm so over the family channels and stuff. I'm not a big fan of them unless they're for educational purposes. Or what do you think? Do you think all family channels should go?
Yes.
All of them? Even the everyday normal ones?
Yes.
That's the thing. Where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line?
What a black and white way of thinking. You're like, should we just delete all of them? I'm like, yeah, just delete all of them, honestly. Like, I'm over it.
And advertising is another whole issue. I mean, I hate advertising altogether. And I think it should be made illegal to advertise to kids. I genuinely think that and believe it.
Kids shouldn't even be on the platform, I feel like.
And you know what the interesting thing is? I feel like anything that is of value and worthwhile is only advertised like during adult programs or on adult channels and the timing. Whereas all the crap that parents would never even think about buying their kids is advertised during like children's programs and on children's channels.
But that's the thing, on TV, I don't see commercials. There are certain
because
channels.
it's illegal. If it's a C or P classification, then it's illegal to advertise. That's why if you're watching, I don't know in America what you have, but for ABC Kids in the morning, there's no advertising.
Yeah, or in the afternoon.
Yeah, because it's a C or P classification.
When do you expose your child to the internet? What do you think is a good age or developmental type?
To the internet?
Yeah.
Look, kids develop at a different age, but I mean, unless I download, maybe it's a game or an app that I have full control of, I would not allow my kid to have access to the internet because the internet is so broad.
I know I said we're going to wrap it up, but I have to say it about this because I don't know if we're going to make another children's content, whatever. There was this game in the App Store and it was masked as this like cartoon thing. And by the time, it was a normal game because the mum always plays, she said that she always plays the game before a kid does, which is a really good idea. But by the time, it was a normal game, by the time it got to the 4th level, it was like a car game and the car was like, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna blah blah blah, terrible stuff. So even stuff on the App Store you can't trust.
Yeah, I mean, everything should have a classification. Video games have classifications.
Yes. Are we just fearmongers? Part of me thinks, are we just too anal about this? Is that the right word to use?
Yeah, are we just too scared of the world?
Maybe. Because there is a part where you shouldn't shelter your kids. Sometimes your kid needs to come across something annoying.
Yeah, that's the issue. It's come to the point where
where do you draw the line?
We have to surveillance everything because the internet is so messed up now, especially with YouTube, and so many kids have access to YouTube. I mean, I love YouTube.
Me too.
I really do. There's nothing you can get from a book that you can't get from YouTube faster.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I think just as parents, I'm not a parent, but I'm speaking on behalf of them because why not? I think as parents, we need to somehow find the line between sheltering your children from terrible stuff, yet also exposing them to the real world. Because when they get older, they're going to be, if you just shelter your kids 24/7, they're going to be in shock. What do you mean that they're the Logan Pauls of the world? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, and Look, as adults, we struggle to find good quality content and to sift through it.
I think the dishwashing liquid channel is pretty good. I'm sorry, I quit. What were you saying?
The most we can do is give kids skills and knowledge and awareness about sifting through this content.
I think a good way to end this episode is this quote. It's not really a quote, it was on Tumblr. I'm sorry, I never thought I'd say this sentence unironically. But someone was like, someone said on Tumblr, make sure you take care of your kids and you shelter them from the BS of the world and you just take care of kids. No, they said something like, if a child at a store smiles at you, like, smile back at them. Like, let's make this world a positive place. And then someone said, well, the world isn't a positive place. And they responded by saying, then do your part to make it that way.
Yes.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's a great way to end it off. Like, we can't control everything. However, everyone should do their part in trying to be more positive in terms of taking care of kids. Because they are the future. I'm so cringy. I hate myself. But, like, kids are the future of the world.
I know. We're just going to have another cringe episode.
But they are the future. We need to take care of them. Like, I'm having a mental breakdown over this. Because what if we're going to have 100 Logan Pauls in the future? Like, what am I going to do?
Let's wrap this up for the millionth time.
For real this time. Thank you so much for watching. And if you got to this point, comment the words
lemon zest.
Comment the word lemon zest if you got to the end of the podcast. I think that's interesting. And yeah, thank you so much for watching the second episode of the podcast. We just want to say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. Like, we had no idea that would happen. We were expecting 10, honestly. We were expecting 10 subscribers and like 10 views.
Being over positive. I'm like, I'm going to be positive 100. But yeah, thank you. Even if one person out there is listening, we're so grateful.
Yeah, that's all that matters, honestly. So thank you so much for watching. This was the Crumbs podcast. This is Zara, signing off.
And this is Nora.
Buy that merch. Buy that merch. Buy that merch. We should make merch so that actually applies.